Looking to skyrocket your YouTube channel? Let Sprizzy boost you to the top. Using YouTube ads, Sprizzy targets.
When we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done.
And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said, you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
Yes.
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor
You're a
will I
damn
going
lie.
forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
You're a damn
What
lie.
made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest by my calculation. Not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, the Inflation Reduction from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana,
I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must
probably $1 trillion that actually increase investing in a clean energy as vice president. What we've already done.
Flip-flop artist too. Yes, the flip-flop artist.
Policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now.
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase the rising clean energy economy without actually investing in a clean energy.
Another issue, big one, is
Here we go.
as vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the
Ain't gonna have nothing to do with that. That's
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings.
Talk your shit.
Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Talk your shit.
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president that I was asked to do by the president
Which you
has
didn't do.
actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced
Okay,
since we began that work. But I will say this,
How did
that
MAGA block her bill?
Joe Biden and I and our administration
Jesus Christ.
worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him.
Well, the Venezuelan gangs are here, so you didn't do it.
He told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the border control endorsed the bill.
A year and a half.
And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock. And 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any
86,000
community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again? I just want to ask about
push it. I will make sure that it comes to my desk and
Has Nation, it didn't matter if he called Mitch and killed the bill. They had a year and a half to put a bill out there. They never did it.
When you first ran, There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally.
You're not
And
doing
there should
it.
be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws. And I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
You were in charge of foreign
Generally
policy.
speaking,
That's foreign
how
policy.
should
You
voters
didn't do it.
look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always
about
believed,
Bollywood.
and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America.
Inflation is still
and by
going
extension,
up,
the
madam.
around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values
As nation, there's a million citizens that could use that same work. Next question.
Vice President, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia.
There's a million people that could use
I believe it is
farm
important
jobs.
to build consensus.
Next question.
And it is
There's plenty that
important
could work.
to
Processing
find
plants.
a
Put them
common
there.
place
Next
of
question.
understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Illegal
Yes, I would. No one in particular.
There's white people that pick peas.
Don't
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But I would. I think
Just like
I
y'all
think
next
it's
gonna tell
really
me there's no black
important.
people
I
that go to a chicken
have
processing
spent my
plant and cut up
career
some chicken.
inviting-
Knock it off.
diversity of opinion.
They don't want
I
to.
think it's important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes,
in
I
mind?
would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
That was just the start of our wide-ranging conversation, and we have some never-before-shared details about the phone call that changed everything between President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it? What was that like? And did
It was
to endorse you right away?
it was a Sunday, so here I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
And her running mate. I asked him about some of the controversies that have sprung up since Harris put him on the ticket.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want want to ask you a question about how you described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, the debate everyone's been waiting for. Follow CNN for complete coverage and exclusive pre- and post-debate analysis. A CNN special event, the ABC News presidential debate.
This is why. Sorry. This is why they don't do. This is why they don't do interviews. Friggin' CNN. What do we expect, though, eh? They're so goddamn biased now. They're so Trumpy, MAGA. This is why they don't do interviews. Friggin' CNN. What do we expect, though, eh? Sorry, Fergus unplugged me. Fergus was playing with the cord. No one's been waiting for this interview, CNN. I don't know why she's wasting her time. Right. Hey there, Trapped. Welcome. 9,500 capacity, full house in Savannah. Right on.
Follow CNN for complete coverage and exclusive
Okay, is this
pre- and
back?
post-debate analysis. A CNN special
Oh,
event,
wrong
the
channel.
ABC News presidential debate.
Hang on. Trying to fly this plane solo. Yes, thank you, Georgia. Thank you, North Carolina, too. Yeah, tea with mangoes. You guys are hilarious. We got a good crowd here. Yeah, Mac 90. I was watching the viewership on both NPR and WAPO live streams for both the Trump meandering bullshittery and the Harris remarks, and even before Harris came out, there was at least 3 times as many people waiting for her to come out as were watching him on both streams, and her numbers only went up. That was funny. Remarks, and even before Harris came out, they just started again. Okay, I'm going back behind them. The green curtain. Bye. As we're watching him on both streams, and her numbers only went up.
Said they depend on where you sit. At X-Chair, we think it also gets down to how you sit, which is why our technology is light years ahead. X-Chair has done it again with our groundbreaking LMX technology, providing hours of infinite comfort no matter where in the world you're sitting. By synthesizing the universe's elements, bringing hot, cold, and touch into one extraordinary seating experience, our mission is to help you discover that every workday can happen with body and mind in an out-of-this-world place of comfort and productivity. X-Chair is charting a new course, helping workers everywhere find comfort as their work worlds zoom back and forth. Even though your work reality may continue to shift, we've got our eye on the future of work so you can focus on the present. And from where we sit, the future still feels good. X-Chair puts in the work so you don't have to. Celebrate Labor Day with up to $400 off, including free LMAX. Sale ends September 16th.
Welcome back live from Savannah, Georgia, and our exclusive interview with Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. In just 12 days, Harris will meet Donald Trump on a debate stage in Philadelphia. And when I say meet, I mean literally meet. Would you believe they have never talked face to face? The only time they've even been in the same room was when Harris was a senator watching Trump's State of the Union address. Now it's Trump watching Harris on the campaign trail with money and momentum behind her and making her case directly to voters. As voters are getting to know Kamala Harris, they want answers on how she will make their lives better. She heard that here at Sandfly Barbecue in Savannah.
What we're going to do to increase access to capital for small businesses, I'll be rolling out next week. Part of what we're going to be doing in terms of a tax credit.
On the trail, she talks about her experience, years in the courtroom as a district attorney and eventually California's attorney general. She wants to reframe the contest as the prosecutor versus the felon.
I know Donald Trump's type. I've been dealing with them my whole career.
The former president is turning to a well-defined playbook of personal attacks.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
And in just 12 days, the nominees will meet face-to-face for the first time.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
If you've got something to say, and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7th, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply
Are you really buying into the
attending
talking
a
point,
music festival.
Harris?
Women were horribly raped.
By Israel.
As I said then, I say today, Israel
Let's
has
go do this.
a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
Okay.
And we have got to
Well, let's
get
not lean on
the
talking
deal
Harris.
done.
Lean on
We
facts,
were in
Harris.
Doha. We have to get the deal done. This war must end, and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire.
These politicians that is honest with people and explain to them the nuances and the treaty. And steer away from talking.
Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are
and the treaty.
I
No
remain
APAC
committed
and
since
the
I've been on
Anti-Defamation
October
League
8th.
make you think that they
So
have
what we
to
must do to
keep
work
you
toward
out.
a
They don't.
two-state solution where Israel is secure.
Just
and
tell
in
this is
equal
your time to
measure,
tell the truth.
The
Tell the
Palestinians have
truth.
security and
Tell the truth.
self-determination
Tell the
and
truth.
dignity.
Tell the truth.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. Campaign officials said that you missed them. Did you?
Who's campaign official?
First of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country.
Who's
Equally proud
campaign
of my
official?
service in a public school classroom,
Be
whether
specific.
it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think
But you didn't
people are
ask
coming
about
to know me.
Israel or
I
Gaza.
speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my
That
record
didn't
has
answer
been
the
out there
question,
for
though.
40 years.
That didn't answer
So,
the question.
The idea that you said that you were in war. Did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing. It's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have.
Yeah, what was up with his dog? Wasn't he like posting pictures of like two different dogs and saying they were the same dog, and then he deleted the picture? It was something weird like that.
However many days ago, this was not either of your
Again,
bingo
kind of
cards,
irrelevant,
especially
but
yours. You had to
I think he just
clarify,
lies. I think he lies a
that
lot. He
you had said that
exaggerates
you and your
his
wife
accomplishments, saying he was a coach when he was an
used
assistant
IVF,
coach,
but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility.
saying he
in
was
order to
a
have
command
children.
sergeant major when he was
And
like
then
a
when you
master
ran for Congress
sergeant.
in 2006, your campaign
Kind of a pattern here, right? Kind of
made
exaggerating. Not
statements
flat out
about a
lying, but
1995
exaggerating.
arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether
The DUI question.
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The Vice President's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Up next, the moment that changed everything.
But isn't that what abortion does, is deny families the ability to have a child? You just kill a baby?
And I think most Americans look at that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF.
I watched a bit of Trump's town hall, and he wants the government to pay for IVF. He probably doesn't, but he thinks that that's going to get him votes. There's a really weird civil war going on within the conservative wing, within the Republican Party about abortion, right? Because for so long, the Republicans advocated for repealing Roe v. Wade. They kind of figured that was probably the furthest that they could go. That was kind of the end of that line. And then it happened. It actually happened. It's now left up to the states. And now the pro-lifers, the true pro-lifers, are like, well, okay, we're just getting started. Because it's still like 25 and 25. Some states have certain less restrictive, others are more restrictive, but it's about half and half are pro-life and pro-choice. You know, abortion's legal or it's not. And the true pro-lifers are like, well, we gotta save those babies in those other states, because what you're kind of doing is if you say that it's okay for some states to legalize it and other states to not legalize it, if you believe in abortion, or if you believe that abortion is murder, then you're saying some states it's okay to kill people, in other states it's not, right? So it's a moral issue, and it doesn't square up right that. So, like, logically, you would have to want a national abortion ban if you are pro-life. And Donald has paid some lip service to the pro-life movement. He spoke at the March for Life at least one time. He is not, I think, ideologically driven by this. I don't think he's driven by this by any kind of real moral sense, a religious sense. This is very political for him, right? Does he think that it's maybe a little gross and kind of wrong to kill babies, right? Does he think that that's not really cool? Probably. He probably is uncomfortable with that. But does he believe in, like, Roe? Like, okay, if it's before 12 weeks, like when it's, you know, just a developing fetus, it's not got a lot of those kind of more recognizable human characteristics, at least from the naked eye, right? Obviously, it is a baby from conception. It's a human being, but, you know, does he make that distinction where it's like, well, when it's still kind of this gelatinous mass and it's not quite, I'm okay with that, but I don't want them to do, like, late-term abortion. I don't know what his, like, true, real conviction is, but politically, I mean, he's kind of just abandoned the whole thing. Him and J.D. Vance both saying that Trump is going to protect women's reproductive rights. J.D. Vance saying that Trump won't sign a national abortion ban if it came to his desk. I don't know if I believe that. I think that Trump, if a bill came to his desk, it was all prepared already, he's in his second term, he's probably going to just say, screw it, whatever. I mean, again, he's not ideologically driven by this one way or the other. It would make him very popular with a...
Trump won't sign a national abortion ban if it came to his desk. I don't know if I believe that. I think that Trump will keep to his desk. It's all trying to be fair.
Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Let's just say, screw it, whatever.
CNN has released a snippet, or several snippets, of their sit-down interview with Kamala Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz. Now, of course, Dana Bash is the anchor at CNN who is going to conduct this interview, and before it airs, we have some clips to show you. So we're going to get back to how Harris answers that question about whether she would work with a Republican in her administration. But first, one of the questions that Bash asked about centered on Kamala Harris's values. Take a look.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
So she, starts off answering that question by focusing on climate policy, and she says that her values have not changed. What did you make of that answer, Jane?
Yeah, it's a good, savvy answer that's not really true. So look, guys, politicians change their policies based on the times. So is Kamala Harris a very standard politician? Yes. Did she say that she was for Medicare for all, whether she believed it or not, when she thought it was popular in 2020? Yes. Is she now against it because it's no longer popular, in her mind at least? The polling shows it's still popular, but these knuckleheads in Washington think, oh no, everybody in Washington doesn't like it. So has she changed it because of that? Yes, definitely. So what's your value? Is it universal healthcare or not universal healthcare? Which one is it? So the reality is, if you're gonna go with that line of talking points, then you've got to come back and say why your value is the same about universal healthcare and then when and how you're going to get it. Not, I'm not in favor of it anymore. So I don't really believe her. By the way, Anna, I think the optics of the double interview with her and Tim Walz is terrible.
Yeah, and people are getting on our case for, in my opinion, just stating the obvious. People will argue, well, no, it's commonplace for every presidential ticket to have a sit-down interview with both individuals involved. That is true, that is a tradition. In a situation in which the front runner, right, the top of the ticket, in this case it would be Kamala Harris, actually gave other sit-down interviews on her own, by herself.
Yeah, look, guys, just know this going forward for today and for the rest of the election coverage. I'm not interested in blue or red MAGA. I'm not interested in dealing with your emotional needs, okay? So people may do double interviews. Trump and Vance did one. I tore it apart, right? But is that when you're looking for the main interview, the first interview she's gonna do after all this hype about how she's not doing interviews, then she uses Tim Walz as a crutch. It doesn't look good for Kamala Harris.
Thank you.
And by the way,